All right, Colts Nation, I am back with another episode, and I'll tell you right now, I can just feel the dislikes pouring in on this episode. I feel it. Just let the hate flow through you, right? I'm figuring a lot of you might not love this episode right here, but I'm hoping that you at least have the ears and the open mind to listen, right? Now, I'm sure, like me, some of you are starting to see quite a few articles saying that there's some buzz around the Colts taking Will Levis at number 4. And now, of course, this is just speculation, right? These are just reports. After all, we have no clue who's getting drafted at 1 by the Panthers, assuming they keep the pick after trading for it. No idea who's getting drafted by the damn Texans. And then, Lord forbid, we don't know who's getting drafted at number 3. So for starters, with all this Will Levis business, Levis? How does the thought of us drafting him make you feel? Because maybe I'm being presumptuous, but does it make you feel angry, upset, worried? Maybe you like Will Levis. Listen, I've got no clue. But based off of what I'm seeing out there in the comments sections, and maybe I'm just a little too deep, maybe I should just spend a little less time doing it, but I can't help myself. It's why I'm here in front of a camera. I'm operating under the assumption that most of you that are watching this video right now are just losing sleep over the idea of the Colts drafting Will Levis with the number 4 overall pick. In fact, I'm seeing a lot of people talk about jumping ship entirely, just going to a completely different team. And while, listen, I trust that most of you saying that are saying that with a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, just kind of joking around a bit. There are some fans, who have been through some horrific seasons, right? We've had so much success in the 2000s, but for those of us who are younger, we haven't experienced the true hardships of being a Colts fan, right? So if the second things are getting tough, you're truly considering rooting for a new team, how about I just push you out a little bit? Get the hell out of here. We don't want you here, and I mean that. And I don't mean to be an asshole about it, but at the same time, we do not want any fans as part of this fan base that aren't Colts, true and true, tried and true, blue and true. We want Colts fans that are in it for all of it. So I will open the door for anyone that wants to leave and no longer be a fan of this team as we reach a little rough patch here. You can get out of here, right? But for the rest of you, and I trust that what I'm about to say is most of you, you're not that deep, right? But maybe you're just a little upset. And then with that, you can just consider this episode just an attempt at easing your mind a little bit, right? So maybe you get those good nights of sleep that you so desperately miss since you've read about Will Levis, right? So let's get to it. Welcome to the Ride on the Bench Colts cast. My name is Justin Alfiero. You are watching me record this episode live to recording from my bedroom studio. Is it a mess? Sure. Will I clean it next week? I don't know. You could come back and find out, right? This right here is a podcast made by a Colts fan for Colts fans. So I do ask, if you're looking to help out a Colts fan as a Colts fan yourself, if you just dropped a like on this video, if at any point during this you're enjoying this episode, that would be a tremendous service to me. I'd be very grateful. Not only will it let me know that you like this video and I should continue to make videos like this video, it's also going to let YouTube know what you want to see in front of your face, which means obviously if you like this, you see just a little bit more of me. Hopefully that doesn't ruin your day. And then, of course, you'll see other Colts content as well. So again, that's kind of like a trinity, a trifecta of good things happening right there. As for subscribing, I'd be incredibly grateful if you did. But at the end of the day, I don't need to win you with this episode. I will be here next week, the week after that, and so on and so forth. I'm going to be here forever talking about the Colts. So if later is the time to subscribe to me, that's fine. But of course, if you do subscribe, that would be great. And what else? This video is time-stamped. If at any point you're kind of, I'm dragging on too much, you could always skip to where you want to be. But with that, that's the intro. We're out of the way. Now we're into the episode. And let's just get one thing out of the way as we start talking about Will Levis here. We all have our opinions, right? And we're all entitled to them for sure. Listen, some people are a little more entitled to them than others, but that's neither here nor there. All of that being said, let's not pretend we know anything about how Will Levis is going to be when he gets out of the draft. I feel like this is important to establish. Now, I'll fully admit, I don't know whether or not Will Levis is going to be good. This video isn't me putting my foot down and just planting it being like, Will Levis is definitely a great quarterback. Now, I think he's got tools for sure. With that being said, you certainly don't know he's not going to be good. It's ridiculous. This is a 50-50 dart throw, and all of a sudden, everybody is a quarterback expert. And here's the thing about quarterback experts. Even the greatest in the world get it wrong from time to time. So at the end of the day, we have to see this thing out. And I'm no expert scout, but again, I've been watching football for the better part of 20 years, so I'd like to believe that even if I can't pinpoint talent and success, I could certainly spot a complete scrub that can't play when I'm looking at a complete scrub that can't play. Will Levis is not that. And from the tape I've watched, I do think he's got some great tools to work with. And of course, I'll get into the tape as the video progresses. Not that I'll be showing any, but I'll be talking about my takeaways ever so slightly. Now, is Will Levis perfect? No. How many guys are? But there are positives there. And if you can't admit that, then I'm not sure how we'll continue to have the conversation. I guess this is your time to shut off the video. Or you could listen. Maybe I change your mind. But I do ask you, and be honest here. You don't have to lie to me. How much film of Will Levis have you actually watched for all of you that have this miserable opinion on him? And of the film you watched, was it just like a couple games from this past season? I mean, how well do you know the rest of the Kentucky offense? Again, Kentucky, right? This isn't Bama, this isn't Ohio State, this isn't Georgia, so on and so forth. This ain't basketball. We know Kentucky ain't all that when it comes to football, especially this past season. You had Wan'Dale Robinson was his best receiver who got drafted by the New York Giants, and then he was dealing with a new offensive coordinator as well. So, I mean, there were some adjustments that needed to be made there in Kentucky, and ultimately it's not like the NFL where Will Levis gets to be there for the next 4, 5, 6 years and see it out. That wasn't an ideal situation for him. And listen, if I'm sounding a little bit angry, I'm sorry. In fact, it's quite possible that the anger I'm exhibiting right now is completely unrelated to you. And if so, I'm sorry you have to listen to me whine and complain about it. But for those of you who are the people that I'm talking to you right now, I don't mean to create division. I'm sorry. I just can't take it anymore. I really cannot. And as far as the tools go, we can talk about Will's arm strength, right? Which many of you aren't giving him credit for. And we could talk about the athleticism, which is apparent. On any game that you watch, you could see that Will Levis is a monster athlete. In terms of physique, frame, arm talent, Levis is an absolute prototype. Make no mistake. And I put that on anyone. You could ask the most seasoned quarterback expert. When you talk about physical intangibles, this guy is everything you want to have. Now, sure, I know I'm not naive to it. You can point to some accuracy issues, and you can point to some subpar numbers in college. But here's a secret about numbers in college for those of you that may not know. They don't matter. And as far as accuracy goes, you know what other QBs had questionable accuracy throughout their tape? And again, you could fact check me. You could go back and look and see what people were saying. Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. And again, I'm not just saying that. Not only can you go back and check, I was watching tape on quarterbacks at that time. It wasn't that long ago, but I was. So I'm not just saying this out of nowhere. Which games did I watch of them, by the way? I have no clue. You look them up. I've done enough, right? And I'm not saying he's any of those guys, Will Levis, at all, may I add. But my point is, we just don't know who he is. And the thing I love most about him, and how many people speak so highly of his work ethic, I've started to see some stuff recently about how he's bombing interviews and coming off as arrogant or something. And I don't know what's true and what isn't. Again, this is the beginning of April. We have the draft at the end of the month. This is kind of smoke and mirrors season, right? You don't fully know everything to believe. You don't know who's leaking what information. But I'm going to tell you right now, as far as him bombing interviews, I'm just a little bit skeptical of it. He's at the very least put on a good face at all of the press conferences that I've watched, which are probably like 5 in all fairness. Excuse me if you've studied all of his facial expressions in all of his press conferences. But he always did seem to have a good balance of quote-unquote arrogance and humility, right? Which I believe they call confidence, right? Is when you can balance those two things. It's like we're looking at some guy like Zach Wilson, who's like a scared dog out there, just a boy amongst men, or that's the opposite of the normal saying. You get my point. And then even as far as arrogance goes, even if he's a little bit on that side, I don't mean to throw the name game here, but you look at some of the great quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, they had a little bit there, right? It wasn't like, how are you supposed to command a huddle if you just come in there, Mr. Nice and humble and stuff like that? You got to have a little bit of fucking sharpness to you, Aaron Rodgers, first guy that comes to mind. Again, not that he is Aaron Rodgers. I'm just talking about when you're talking about personality, when you're talking about personality, I mean, these are guys you can look to. It's not like if he is coming off a certain way that's like insurmountable odds that he couldn't overcome, right? If the work ethic is there, it's there. This is all I care about. And on top of all of this, let's just say that the Colts do draft Will Levis, right? Let's just call it a reality. Aside from whether or not you think this is a good move, because we may disagree on that all the way till it's proven, and you might be right, and I might be right, and I might be wrong, and vice versa, right? We won't know until we know. Do you trust Shane Steichen? Is this decision right here one that you think is solely in Chris Ballard's hands, just all by himself? You have to know that Steichen's fingerprints and his stamp of approval is going to be on whichever quarterback we take, right? And this is a guy that in Steichen that many of us know, but I'll repeat it for those of you who don't, coached and ultimately learned from Philip Rivers, who is one of the great quarterback minds of the past 20 plus years. If Philip Rivers wanted to come to the NFL and be a quarterback coach, he could get a job on almost any team tomorrow, I guarantee it. I mean, he worked with Herbert early in his career. Obviously, Herbert's spectacular. We don't know what Steichen had to do or not do with that, but the fact that Herbert just came out firing out of his rookie year is certainly to some degree a testament to Shane Steichen. And then, of course, the most impressive and tangible thing we've seen is the jump that Jalen Hurts was able to make to where people were questioning whether or not he was even remotely good enough to be an NFL passer, to now, not many people arguing him outside of the top 7 or 8 quarterbacks in football, maybe top 10 if you're feeling a little ridiculous. And I mean, as far as resumes go, I'll be damned if Shane Steichen doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, what the hell else are you supposed to look for in a coach? It's flawless. So, I mean, listen, if he does not work and the quarterback he gets does not work and Shane Steichen is a flop, if all of these things work, hell, I'll stand back. I'll admit I'm wrong. And you know, this episode will be null and void. But don't forget, at Steichen's introductory press conference, he went out of his way, right? He talked about obviously you like to see the physical tools, which I mentioned with Will Levis, but he really went out of his way, and he didn't have to do this, to emphasize the mental attributes of a quarterback. I view that as important because presumably he's valuing things such as character and work ethic, and that's both in the gym and in the film room, the speed in which a guy is processing a defense. I believe that Shane Steichen said, what was it? From the legs up we like, but then also from the neck up, that's really the most important. He said the greats he worked around have that. So you have to think if he waves his wand and puts his stamp of approval on a guy at that number 4 pick, that he has to at least exude some of those things that Shane Steichen is looking for, right? Or unless Shane was just lying to us, I have no idea. I mean, we have to assume that. It's either that or we just say, you know what, fuck you, Steichen, and then we move on. But I mean, I can't do that. Can you? The choice is yours. All I'm trying to say here is that this isn't all bad. It can go both ways. Both things can be true. Levis can have some flaws, but he could also be honed into a big-time QB in the right situation. We have no clue. And not for anything, I'll wrap up the episode on this question right here. If we were faced with Will Levis at the number 4 pick as our best scenario at quarterback, would you get upset if we traded back at that point and then passed on one of the top 4 quarterbacks in this draft? Because if you do, I will remind you, you ever heard the saying, we can't just have our cake and eat it too? At some point, you've run through all of your options, and you have to shift from being up in arms, right, to playing the hand that you're dealt to the best of your ability, and then moving on from there. So, with that, you've just gotten to the end of the episode. If you enjoyed that, awesome. This is where you shoot the like. Maybe this is where you subscribe. That would be great. If you've done both of those things and you're looking for another way to help this channel grow, help out my Colts cast, please, if you just share this with one other person that you know is as much of a Colts fan as me, that would be amazing. In theory, if everyone that watched this and got to that point did that, we may be able to almost double this thing every week. Now, of course, I know that's not going to happen. But again, it's nice to see the numbers going up. It's nice to see that more people are hearing the message. The numbers, yes, of course, I have aspirations. But really my goal here is to be a major player in the Colts community. I'm a voice that whether you want me here, whether you don't, whether you like that episode, whether you didn't, I'm going to be here for the long haul. And I'm not just talking shit here. I'm here to stay. So with that, you've just listened to episode, who's counting, whatever, of the Ride on the Bench Colts cast. I'm Justin Alfiero. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week. Or maybe even in a few days. Who knows?